Welcome to 80s Toy Boy. What are we talking about today, Jay?
Today we are talking about Strawberry Shortcake in comic form and how that has been over the years.
These are amazing specimens. Like, I don't remember ever seeing these before.
These were comics that came out in the 80s, actually after the Strawberry Shortcake toy line had come to an end and they weren't doing animated specials anymore. But these were put out by Marvel Comics under a new imprint they created called Star Comics, under which they produced titles for children. There were a lot of licensed characters involved in this. There was a Care Bears comic, there was a Popples comic, but they also created original characters. And fun fact, they actually had to stop with some of those because Harvey Comics sued them because of how similar they were to Richie Rich and some of those comics.
Yeah. Wow.
So the Strawberry Shortcake line only lasted for 6 issues. It went over the course of a year.
Yeah, okay. So to get them all, I mean, probably required a little bit of hunting on your part.
Yeah, there was some digging around. Now, this one here, actually, I got when I was a child.
Oh.
So that's special.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, yeah, I dug up as an adult collector at conventions and auctions and whatever I had to do to get them.
I love the ads on the back, too.
Right?
You know, Care Bears, you can't have too much of that, that's
Right.
for sure.
And if you remember, they have those ads in them for if you sold a whole bunch of stuff, you could order wacky
Yeah.
prizes. Those are in there
Selling
as well.
seeds and whatnot.
Exactly.
That is awesome, awesome. Now, they did do another run, like, much more recently.
Yeah, the 2009 through 2015 Strawberry Shortcake run, which actually had an animated television series, not just specials, had a series of comic books that came out. And what I've got here, these are omnibus editions that are collected
Nice.
into like graphic novels. So like each of these is several issues of the
Right.
series. Now, what's interesting about both runs of the comic books is that they feature a character who, up until very recently, that was the only way that character had ever been featured. The 1980s editions of the comics introduced a character named Raisin Cane, who
That's
you
such
can
a great
represent here.
name.
Isn't it an awesome name?
Yeah.
She was something of a villain, something more like a frenemy would be the term you would use nowadays.
Okay.
She was the niece of Sour Grapes, who is very much one of the villain characters. Yeah. And in the comics, you could tell she kind of wanted to be friends with the kids, but wasn't allowed to let that happen.
No.
And then, out of the blue, in this series, way later, of course, there's the Pie Man. He's always been a part of things. Raisin Cane returned with no warning, this time kind of as an annoying social media influencer, which is something we can all relate to.
Yes, for sure.
And because this came along after the toy line had ended, Raisin Cane was something of a folk character. She was popular among doll customizers. And then out of the blue in 2020, a company that was doing reproduction dolls brought out Raisin Cane as a doll. So that was obviously a hot collectible at that time.
No doubt. Well, yeah. Word to those people making the toys, keep bringing stuff out of the, back issues. We want to see more of that.
Right, and we're actually starting to see some of that because Strawberry Shortcake is a hot property right now as an evergreen brand. And they are starting to dig up characters that we haven't seen in a very long time. So stay tuned to 80s Toy Boy. We're going to talk about some of that.
Now, I want to delve into these because these are remarkable. And it's not something that you get to see every day.
No, so what these are, if you look at them, you can see that they're comic pages, but there's markings on them. These are color guides that were colored in, and all of the necessary information was put on these pages so that these could be printed.
Okay.
So I remember many years ago, a bunch of these came up for sale, and a friend called my attention to them, so I kind of wanted to buy them all, but obviously that wasn't realistic. So I picked the 3 that kind of appealed to me the most. And interestingly enough, all 3 of them over the years have come in handy for different reasons just because of what those pictures happen to be. So that's kind of interesting.
It's I always like to see the behind the scenes stuff.
Same.
That's always like super interesting to me. So you've got editorial notes and things like that in the margins. That's really cool. And yeah, they definitely have like a Richie Rich look to them, don't they?
Yeah, and the interesting thing about the Strawberry Shortcake comics is they feel like Strawberry Land, but at the same time, they do things that the animation didn't do, that the storybooks didn't do. So they kind of did take it in a comic book direction, which was kind of cool.
That's okay. A different format is good.
Exactly.
Awesome. Now, you have something else that trumps this, I think, for being special.
I do. Now, this is something that I have had in my collection for many, many years, and I haven't shared it with very many people. And I'll be honest, there was a little bit of gatekeeping happening here. There was a little part of me that liked having a secret, but I feel like it's time, especially given what I'm doing with the 80s Toy Boy
Yeah.
project, that the world know that there were plans for a Strawberry Shortcake newspaper comic strip, which never happened.
No.
For whatever reason, it was canceled. But many years ago, I was fortunate enough to buy a week's worth of the comic strips from the artist who drew them.
Amazing.
The first one here is one strip in that's fully inked. And then these are what he called tight pencils. So the art is finished, it just needs to be inked, but the dialogue is all there. These are super cool, and like I consider myself incredibly fortunate to have these in my collection.
Yeah, what a rare and unique thing to have. It's too bad it never got made.
Well, exactly, it is. And I mean, lots of properties did get comic strips.
Yeah.
The one that really comes to mind is the Muppets had a successful one for a
Yeah.
little while. So it wasn't like this wasn't being done. And this was at the height of Strawberry Shortcake Mania, so I don't know what caused it to be canceled, but for whatever reason it never went ahead.
Yeah, I mean Wizard of It and Kathy and Andy Cap and all those like comic strips that would be in the Star Phoenix. And
Right.
you would like pull it out and like devour them every week.
Yep.
That special issue. I know in our library at school that particular day of the week with like the pull out. I think it came out on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it was always super popular. But this is really really cool.
Yeah, this is a real treasure. One of these days I'm going to have to splurge and get these properly framed.
Yeah, definitely. And they can go up with these guys too.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to delve into the world of Strawberry Shortcake comics because comics is something that I absolutely adore, and I haven't ever read these before, so I'm gonna have to loan these.
Yeah, I will leave them with you, and you can see what Strawberry Shortcake comics were all about.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jay. This is a real piece of history and something like really neat from behind the scenes, and we sure appreciate you sharing them with us.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be able to share this.
Awesome.
You're not really going to throw Strawberry out of her house.
You heard me, Blueberry Muffin. But I'm a generous man. Take your time. Just be out of here in 5 minutes and take your Strawberry Shortcakes with you.